We continue our reading of God's Dream for You, The Chosen, a morning devotional by author Dwight K. Nelson. Today's reading, July 19, the lesson of the Moonies. All the believers were one in heart and mind. Acts 4:32. In case you're still wondering about the value of growing spiritual and social community within our faith community, consider the study of the Moonies, members of Reverend Sun My Young Moon's Unification Church. Rodney Stark reports the study's fascinating conclusions in his book, The Rise of Christianity. Back in the early 60s, he and John Loveland became the first social scientists to observe people convert to a new religious movement. After hundreds of interviews with Moonies, the researchers noted that Moonie conversions were similar to conversions to Christianity in the first century. Namely, conversion came in the face of strong disapproval from non-members, that's family and friends. The lasting conversions were those in which interpersonal attachments to members of the new community overbalanced their attachments to non-members. Page 17. That is, strong interpersonal attachment within the new community of faith is what keeps new members from reverting to their former attachments. Attachments lie at the heart of conversion, and therefore that conversion tends to proceed along social networks formed by interpersonal attachments. Page 18. Thus, Stark concludes, quote, "The basis for successful conversionist movements is growth through social networks, through a structure of direct and intimate interpersonal attachments." Page 20. The point is inescapable, isn't it? One of the significant factors for the explosive growth of the early church was its brilliant, obviously spirit-directed emphasis on building small, front porch groups of community within the movement. It wasn't the only factor, but as Stark's research with the Moonies shows, it was a very strategic factor. No wonder a century before Stark and Loveland, Ellen White came to the same conclusion, quote, "The formation of small companies as a basis of Christian effort has been presented to me by one who cannot err." Christian Service, page 72. Turns out we don't need the Moonies to conclude that interpersonal attachment has ever been the strength and strategy of God's community building on earth. The stories of early Acts and early Adventism are narratives woven with the strong thread of small group interpersonal communities. Given the cubicled isolation of life and society today, can you think of a more critical time for you and me to embrace the counsel of one who cannot err? This is the conclusion of our reading today of God's Dream for You, The Chosen.